A child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. What is an example of this that you've seen or experienced firsthand? I work with kids who have mental health issues. Many of them have attempted suicide, ran away, self-harm, or have an addiction of some kind by their mid-teens. They always have some kind of traumatic family life that's pushed them to that problem. One thing we see again and again is the poor kid who comes in after the parent/guardian has belittled them and told them what a piece of garbage they are for years. Eventually the kid starts acting out, which the adult uses as proof that he or she was right all along about the kid being an awful piece of shit. One kid I worked with was in and out of treatment programs for a couple of years and had exactly this kind of parents. Father was always on the road driving a truck and checked out when he was at home. Mom was personality disordered and extremely emotionally and verbally abusive. One day, while his father was on the road, this boy murdered his mother by bludgeoning her to death with a hammer while she slept in. Then he kept her body in the house for a few days, abusing the corpse before stuffing her remains into the trash can and leaving them on the curbside for pickup. Saw this happen with my little brother. He has autism, and even though he was diagnosed around the age of 8, a lot of people didn't know how to deal with him, or didn't want to take the effort to learn how to deal with him. This includes teachers, other children's parents, and even one of our grandmothers. What made it even worse is that I was the child prodigy who would get nothing but amazing grades and started getting into art at a very young age and being really good at it. I got all the praise and he basically got nothing. My parents didn't do this on purpose, I would steal the spotlight. So he just started getting in trouble just so he would get any attention. He started fires, vandalized stuff, and even from a young age he would go to the main road to throw rocks at cars and such. If he didn't get caught, he would tell my parents what he did himself. There's actually a video of him at my birthday where he told our mom he wanted to show her something, only to flip over a very large container of laundry detergent when she arrived with the camera. He's 25 now, and thankfully, he has a really nice girlfriend that actually helps him get over the whole negative attention is also attention thing. I was in basically the same situation, except the constant expectations from my parents were a problem for me. I ended up dealing with depression, but I still always tried to behave like a responsible adult and care for and believe in my autistic little brother in a way that my parents never quite did for me. He ended up having really good grades and a successful job and a remarkable air of competency that I never truly had, and by the time he graduated high school he was the responsible one with a solid future and I was the screw-up. He once told me that even if I was a bit useless, I was more of a father to him than our actual dad ever was, and I couldn't be more proud of him. My uncle? He was always the black sheep of the family, but turned out he had been carefully planning his future from the start. He got a full ride to his dream college, got a really well-paying job, got married, and now has a child who is a few months old. My grandparents, his parents, always thought he was a disappointment, as he was their only son. He knew this, and they verbally abused him for a while about how he never lived up to their expectations. Turns out, his parents, and all 4 of his sisters ran theme sleeves into quite a bit of debt, and he only found out as he was nearly done with college. They came to my uncle for help after he found employment, and he basically gave my whole family the finger and said for them to help themselves. I'm literally the only one of any of my cousins or siblings who bothered contacting him years after this whole ordeal. At the time I was too young to understand what the fuck was happening, let alone travel by myself. So I contact him via Facebook Messenger, and his wife is a lovely woman. His daughter is so cute and gorgeous, and he is still the same, strong, kind-hearted man that I remember. My parents know I'm on contact with him, and they just don't care. I'll be staying over at their house for a little while next week, and I'm so glad I was able to meet my little cousin. I once attended a birthday party with a bouncy castle. The birthday kid and their friends kicked the younger sibling and his friend out, so they unplugged it and watched everyone's dismay as it deflated. Way to go, Mason. Badass moves for a 12-year-old. Kid went to school. He was in special behavioral classes, and then was put into our class in 4th grade. My teacher was hard on him. One day, the kid had a tantrum and threw a chair. He was sent back to the special classes, which probably destroyed him. He continued on and in high school, was one of the freaks. Always wore a trench coat, in Texas, mind you, was into nerdy things. I talked to him sometimes, but wouldn't really call him a friend, more just nice to him. He would be reading a AD&D book and we'd chat about that. Being my uncle got me into RPGs. In 11th grade, school went into lockdown for some unknown reason. Found out he committed suicide in one of the school bathrooms. Heard he wrote letters to faculty and friends prior to doing it. My cousin's son had a similar issue in the 1st grade. He and his little brother were not allowed many toys when in daycare when his parents were working. About 5 years agile they moved in with me and my parents, on the other side of the country. We worked to help correct a lot of lost time socializing, and it is working. Their parents got decent jobs and seemed to do their best, but me and my parents were always helping them out, watching the boys and trying to help them socialize and learn to be self-actualized. The older one went through kindergarten with few issues, aside from the school counselor wanting to medicate him, which my cousin, with a nursing degree, refused to do. In the 1st grade, he got along well with the other students, but his teacher would ignore his questions, belittle him in front of other students, and would demand that he do things the other students didn't have to do. She would complain to the administration that he was stupid, used those exact words, and when he would report that kids were picking on him, he was ignored. About 3 weeks before the end of school, he got so pissed at the teacher that he picked up a desk and threw it at the teacher and nearly hit her. He wasn't expelled, but he was pulled from school. He got a position the next year at the alternative school and excelled. However, his 1st grade teacher started complaining that alternative school isn't for grade school, but middle and high school, so much so, the school board cut the program after his 2nd grade year. Now he is homeschooled, and they are still trying to figure how best to sue the district. I hope it doesn't cause too many issues in the long term with him, but he needs structure and homeschooling just caused him to learn to lie so he just can play games all day. My brother. My family wasn't loving. I coped it with my venturing out and exploring on my own. I would leaving early each day and explore nature, only coming home for food. My brother coped with the lack of love with sex, drugs, fighting, parties, and theft. He had a super distorted view of needing love, and he really acted like if he wasn't getting love, then the world deserved to burn. He went into prison in his teens. He got out in his 20s, tried to be good for a year, but couldn't find his concept of love, so he started burning the village again, went back in. Got out years later, tried to go clean, and this time found love. But he pushed himself too hard to be lovable. He developed a super personality built on meth. He did drugs to keep up, lost his love, and started to burn the village down again. The last time, the local sheriffs ended the cycle, he wasn't going back in. During the road chase, they filled his windshield with bullets and he veered off a cliff and died in the dirt. It was the headline of the local news. I think I may forever compare my life to my brother's. How could we be so different? We had the same parents and endured very similar pains. But I didn't choose to burn down the village. I chose to distance myself and survive. He went nuclear, the village didn't have a chance. This could be applied to my, soon-to-be ex-husband. He has mommy issues. He has daddy issues. He has sibling issues. Basically, his parents divorced when he was in grade school and no one really ever parented him from that point forward. His dad left. His mom, in my opinion, has no sense of accountability and can never be wrong about anything, so not exactly a great role model. She restarted her career after the divorce and left him in the dust. My husband never really healed from the aftermath of his parents' divorce. I can understand, my own parents' divorce negatively affects me to this day in some ways. Though my parents are the polar opposite of his. They are extremely involved and giving. I think the more my parents involved themselves in our lives, the more he realized what a parent was supposed to look like. When our baby was born and my parents worked to be helpful and bond with him, I think it almost showed a giant magnifying glass on the abandonment issues he had buried and run from his whole life. He cracked this year. Ran away with someone. Threw me and my loving family away, but, briefly, got the attention he was yearning for from both his shitty absentee parents in his time of crisis. That didn't last too long. He burnt our marriage and the life we had built over 10+ years to the ground. He felt so sad and wanted me to feel as badly as he did. Though, any warmth he enjoyed from doing so quickly dissipated. He regrets everything. Update: we have been separated for months, but within the past 6 weeks he's been trying to open the door. I've been patient with him and encouraging while he tries to find the right specialists. He called me tonight to tell me he's back with her. So, I guess he doesn't really regret anything. I need to redact that last sentence, wouldn't want to be inaccurate. And just FYI, I was still in denial about having to get a divorce. It's stupid, but I wanted to work through some of this even if we couldn't stay married through therapy. Hold me accountable, Reddit, I'm 100% done. Have you seen similar stories? Leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.